I think if you bring people together and they do get to know each other, if they share each other's food, if they share each other's songs, each other's laughter, that understanding that builds up between people gets stronger. And it's so much harder to misunderstand people you know extremely well. And so I think it's a new dawn for all of us. And I hope we all take advantage of it in the most positive, creative way. I'm sure we will.
I think it's becoming increasingly evident that China sees London as one of its major international financial centres. We very much welcome Chinese investment into the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is completely open to Chinese investment. We like Chinese investment here, and there's some very important discussions going on about things like nuclear, high-speed rail. And the City of London plays a very important part of this, because a lot of the financing of these projects comes from the City of London, and we're looking forward very much to the involvement of China in that.
I'm not sure it's on the agenda for the visit or not. What I would say is we're already receiving a high level of interest in UK healthcare and the medical sector from visiting Chinese. China is also a very important market for us to develop and invest in. So no matter if it's discussed or not, I'm sure this visit will be good for collaboration, for future investment, not only in healthcare but also in other sectors of the UK.
So, as I understand it, the UK is the second biggest partner for scientific collaboration with China, and we have a very large number of Chinese students studying here in the UK. I believe it is now nearly 135,000 students. We have a long tradition of collaboration between UK and Chinese institutions, and particularly my university where I work, the University of Nottingham, is one of the leaders of collaboration with China, with our own campus in Ningbo, where we are pioneering collaborative research between Chinese researchers and UK researchers.
We are the largest international financial market in the world, with the greatest proportion of product and largest variety of product coming out of here. We do 40-odd% of the foreign exchange market here in London, and we want to be involved with the internationalisation of the renminbi. We already are, we're very pleased to be, and we want to be there for the evolution of China coming out into the global market. And we want to support you in building your long-term institutions to make sure we can actually see better long-term investment take place, so that there are some more buffers, shock absorbers in the system.
As far as education is concerned, I think it's a big opportunity for us to understand where President Xi will go with the Chinese higher education system. We have a very deep interest in this because we house one of the Confucius Institutes in our Institute of Education. It is teaching teachers how to teach Mandarin in, I think it's 43 schools around England. So it will be interesting to see what President Xi's view is of something like that.
What would I say to President Xi Jinping? Good morning or good afternoon. What I would want to understand is that China is in a period of transition. It's called the new normal, but it's actually a period of transition. What I'm interested in is where is China going to?
Yeah, well, I think it would be fascinating to talk a bit to President Xi about some of the economic challenges for China and the world and how he's going about addressing those, because there's an enormously ambitious program of change. So I would certainly like to talk to him about some of the economic changes that he's bringing about. And I mean, other questions I'd be fascinated to ask include which English football team he supports. We know he has a great interest in football, but I don't think we know which team he supports, so that would be really interesting to find out.
I think the first thing is to continue to improve the visa processes between all the countries in the world and China to stimulate the inbound growth to the Chinese market. The second is to continue to invest in the infrastructure projects building all these airports to make sure that people are within a 90-minute drive of their nearest airport is extremely important. Then the third thing is the issue around pollution, particularly for Beijing, because that's something which is inhibiting, it's stopping people coming to Beijing. So something must be done about the pollution.
So I would tell President Xi that that international collaboration is so important for really forefront and leading research, that he should do everything he can to keep promoting student exchanges and international research collaborations between our academics. We benefit a lot when we work together.
Well, there are so many questions that would be fascinating, intriguing. I love to understand the culture of China and love to understand the plans for the evolution of China as a great global ambassador. You know, we're aware of the One Belt, One Road strategy, which is very important to China. And you know, we'd love to understand whether we could run a conference or provide a rating system that could really encourage collaboration between universities within this One Belt, One World strategy.
I'm currently very interested in a specific possibility of developing an education park in Beijing, providing in part international education, a UK-based education facility in collaboration with a British university and a university in Beijing. So I would particularly welcome any encouragement that the President might give to that project.
I've been fortunate enough to meet President Xi in the past and had some good dialogues with him. He's very interested in the market economy, the pace at which China can move towards the market economy. There's always going to be some stresses and strains involved with that, and we've seen, you know, some volatility in the markets this year. But I'm absolutely sure that we're on the right track. I think the Chinese government do a very good job in managing the complex economy of China, and we're all looking forward to great things out of the visit.
Well, the Royal Brompton Hereford Hospitals are the UK's largest centre for the treatment of heart and lung disease. So as the President is staying around the corner in Buckingham Palace, I would ask him to visit the Royal Brompton. Then we can show him around and showcase UK expertise and show him what we have to offer.
I'll be talking about very specifically things to do with how we can help and support China in its next stage of economic development. And that'll be looking at the financial services sector in particular, and making sure that we can support you, and actually how you can match the long-term nature of infrastructure spend with the long-term nature of pension funds and life insurance companies, and also with the development of the AIIB, which we're very excited about.
That would be an interesting moment. I think I'd like to ask him what he enjoyed in his own education, which things really excited him in his own education, just to see how a world leader sees that period of their life. Maybe whether there was anything in his education that he would do differently now that he is a world leader. And then also I'd be interested in asking him about at what stage his leadership talent became apparent to him, and how he developed it further. I have a sort of an academic interest in leadership and developing leadership talent. So
I think the question that I am most curious about is how he balances and sees a balance in China between economic prosperity and social conditions of everyday life for people.
I would really like to meet President Xi, and I think what I would really like to hear from him is his vision for where he sees China going in the future, but particularly what he sees the role of science in the future development of China. It's really rather presumptuous for a university professor or even a foreign secretary of the Royal Society to give advice to a president, but because the weather has been so bad in the UK this summer, my advice to him would be to bring both a raincoat and an umbrella.